Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of The Pocket. I'm your host, Preston Lang, and alongside me is Parker Knoll.
Welcome back, everyone. Glad to have you. This is going to be an exciting one. We're back doing another rookie mock draft, this time post NFL draft. This is going to be fun. We're going to be able to compare it to how we drafted 3 weeks ago, how we predicted that landing spots were gonna be. You can see our updated rankings in a mock draft, and maybe some of our thought processes as well as like why are we making that pick there? Why are we doing this? So it'll be fun. We'll talk through it. Obviously, you won't get the visual of what's going on, but we'll try to talk through it as best as we can. If you guys remember from last episode or the last rookie mock, we flipped a coin and Preston was the first overall pick. So we decided that I would be the first overall pick this time to kind of switch things up and make each other's picks. So with that being said, at the 101, Jeremiah Love is going to stay there. I'm going to pick Jeremiah Love. Again, the prospect that he goes to a great landing spot where he's projected to be a bell cow. Whether we're worried a little bit about production this year or not, I'm not worried about him panning out in the long run. He's going to be going, early to mid second round in startups. You're taking him at the 101, not home. A lot more to say about him there.
Yeah, that's the easy 101 this year. The 102, that's where the question mark comes up. But for me, it's going to be Carnell Tate taken at the 104 in the real life NFL draft. Carnell Tate, for me, I liked him a lot as a prospect anyway. I love how he catches with his hands every time, runs crisp routes. Then he's walking in Tennessee where I like Cam Ward. Cam Ward, to me, took a step. And he's going to be the wide receiver one there for sure, definitively. They took him with too much draft capital for him not to be. Coming out of Ohio State, where they're a very prestigious wide receiver school, I just like him a lot. And I think at the 102, I'm very happy with Carnell Tate.
Yeah, and that would have been my pick there at the 102, and it wouldn't have been last time we did this, so that's kind of fun. I think Preston probably agrees. I took Tyson at the 2. That was my pick. So I did take Tyson at the 2, but I would have taken Tate there. With that being said, I'm going to go Tyson at the 3. He's my favorite in terms of film. I loved his film. I loved his rookie, just his projection and how he was as a prospect. I really, really like this landing spot. Not quite as much as Carnell Tate for this year especially, but I do like the direction the Saints offense is going. I do believe in Tyler Shuck. I believe in that offense, and I think he's going to fit in well. I think he's almost certainly going to be the second target in that offense, and with the amount of pass plays that they run, with the pace and the tempo that they play at, he's going to get a lot more targets than maybe your stereotypical wide receiver 2, or at least he is projected to. Again, love the talent, love the landing spot, and especially long term. Olave's 27. Give him a few years. Tyson could really emerge as the number 1 in this offense with a Tyler Shuck who is just emerging as well. So I love the situation. I love the draft capital. I love the prospect.
Yeah, I think it's a testament because we had Jordan Tyson as a wide receiver 1 early on, and then he was really falling. Like, people were like, man, I don't know if Tyson's even going to be in that top 4 conversation. It's Love, Tate, Lemon for sure. But then Tyson really rose after his April pro day that he did for teams, like his special just him pro day, which is kind of cool. Really rose for a lot of teams. I know the Browns, he was one of their picks, they were going to take, they talked about it, but then the Saints took him in there at 9. I like Tyson a lot. I think we were in on him for a long time, and I think he's easily my 103. I would take him. He was in contention at the 102. But then my pick, the 104, kind of keeping it chalk, the big 3 wide receivers. I'm taking Makai Lemon. I think he's in a similar situation to Tyson. I like his analytical profile a lot. He profiles to be very good for fantasy. Jalen Hurts, he struggles throwing the ball over the middle of the field and struggles with passing volume in general. But I still think with the departure of A.J. Brown, those targets need to go somewhere, and they drafted Makai Lemon to be that someone. So that's why I'm going to take Makai Lemon at 4.
Yeah, and I'm a big Devontae Smith guy. I love Devontae Smith, and I'm excited to see him as a wide receiver 1, but I do think Lemon is going to pair nicely with him. I think there's plenty of targets for Lemon. Again, we've seen with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in the past where they're both able to be sustained in an offense, and I think Makai Lemon has the talent to do that, and I think he's going to be very clearly the 2. We have Dallas Goedert, who isn't a big target guy. He might be a red zone guy, and he's going to be gone next year, and then who knows what happens with Stowers. So I think Makai Lemon, again, he projects well. I think this offense is good. And now we have a revamped offense, new offensive coordinator. So I'm excited to see where the Eagles offense goes from here. Hopefully they're passing the ball more. Hopefully they look better. And I'm still on Jalen Hurts too. So if we're going to bet on Jalen Hurts, we got to bet on a guy like Makai Lemon. I'm excited about it. My pick at the 5 is going to be Jadarian Price. I was in on him last time we did the rookie mock draft. I believe I picked him at the 112. Incredible value. I wish we would have done a rookie mock before the NFL draft. That would have been sick.
I think you took him at the
Anyway.
110 actually.
Was it the 110?
Yeah, you were.
I
Yeah,
forgot who I picked at the 112. Anyway, I was in on Jadarian Price before. I'm more on him now. He was projected to either go at the 32nd pick or the 64th pick, and I think more people were like, oh yeah, he'll just go at the 64th pick, but what if the 32nd pick? And then he does, and that is awesome. Except it didn't go that well for everybody else, but it did for Jadarian Price. We got a run-heavy offense that just won the Super Bowl with very little competition. I know we kind of talked about this last week, but Emmanuel Wilson's in there, and we're Packer fans. We like Emmanuel Wilson, but is Emmanuel Wilson going to take? No. You don't draft Jadarian Price in the first round for Emmanuel Wilson to take carries. Emmanuel Wilson is there to do a little bit of Sharp's job while he's gone. And then once Sharps comes back, I'm a little bit more worried. But Jadarian Price has 10 plus weeks to establish himself, and he hasn't done it at that point. He never is going to.
and he's a first round price.
Right.
Like, oh,
That's a good one.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
First round price, but yeah, he's honestly the biggest riser for any rookies. I mean, he could have been like a second round pick with bad draft capital. Now he's up here at the 105. So that's great for him. At the 106, I'm going to take Mendoza. Feels like the last person in the tier here. Mendoza, 101. You kind of know what it is. He's not. Kirk Cousins is going to start week 1, and I don't know how many weeks he's going to start after that, but he's going to start for a couple weeks, and then Mendoza will take over, which is why I think at the 6 it's fair. This is a super flex, why we're taking him at the 6. Feels like a safe asset, which is why I think he's in like a tier, so that's why I like him here, but he does feel like a little overvalued in like a startup to me, but at the 106, I mean, he just feels like the safest player on the board.
Yeah, that's what I would say too. Mendoza's my guy there. I think the value is great. I think he's good for both teams who don't need him to win now or teams that are tanking. I think he's just going to hold value well. He has a good chance of starting this year as well. I know I like seeing him behind Kirk Cousins to give him time to develop. We saw it last year with Cam Ward. He started to turn it around at the end of the year, but it was almost hard because you wanted to start him because of that draft capital, but he just didn't perform. It took a while. I think Mendoza could be similar. I do think his situation is a little better than the Titans were last year with the way the Raiders have kind of turned it around. But I'm excited about Mendoza. I'm excited about that investment. At the 106, I think it's pretty easy for me. At the 107, I'm going to go Casey Concepcion, the next highest draft capital wide receiver. And I think the biggest thing for me that I'm looking at in this draft class is taking shots more on wide receivers because that's supposed to be the strong point of the class. But he got good draft capital. Again, he goes to the Browns. Don't love that, but he has a pretty clear path to being the wide receiver 1 on his team. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. And I think he's kind of like a half tier above everybody else. He's not quite up to that price, and then obviously not Lemon Tyson Tate, but he is above the next receivers like Boston and Bell and Omar Cooper. I mean, maybe Omar Cooper is right there too. I guess they're probably the same tier, but I do like Casey a little bit more than Omar, mostly because of his ability to become the wide receiver 1 on his team this year.
Yeah, I like Casey a lot. Like I said, I've said it before in previous videos, but really early breakout age, which I like, and then he has better draft capital than like Omar and Boston. Boston's on the same team as him, so I like that for Casey. He does feel kind of in the same tier as those guys, but definitely my favorite of all those guys. I'm going to take Kenyon Sadiq at number 8. Sadiq, to me, I mean, he's number 1 tight end of the class at 8, has a great athletic profile, not really a great production profile, but there's reasons for that with there's a great tight end at Oregon that will be great next year. But Sadiq, the reason he's falling to even 8, I think, is because of the Jets. I've seen Sadiq go later than 8, but I like Sadiq a lot still. Tight end, safe value. Like, he doesn't need to break out year 1. He's got time, so he just feels like a safe pick at 8.
Yeah, and again, we talk about tight ends being safer. Again, the draft situation, the landing spot is not my favorite, but he has all the draft capital, he has all the talent. So yeah, I'm absolutely taking a shot at the 108. I think about everybody else after him. You're kind of taking a shot on people at this point. Like, for me, I just like the talent from Sadiq and the draft capital from Sadiq sets him apart from the rest of the picks, like a guy like Omar Cooper, who I'm taking at the 9. I like Omar Cooper. I think he's a good talent. I thought he was a good prospect. He got that first round draft capital, which I like to bet on. Like I'm gonna bet on it over a guy like Denzel Boston, who I initially liked more than Omar Cooper. And I also think their situations are basically the same or similar. But we get the draft capital of Omar Cooper. Again, liked him as a prospect. Don't love the Jets. Not really drafting him here, expecting him to be good. But I'm picking up the 9 here. I had a pretty good season last year. I don't think I need Omar Cooper to compete next year. He's a future investment for my team. So I think that's kind of cool here at the end of the first round, that you're kind of taking a shot on some talent and hoping that the situation gets better. You know, if we talked about this in an earlier episode, but if the Jets, you know, if they're not so good this year and they replace Geno Smith with a guy like Arch Manning or another quarterback like that,
Dante Moore, who they might have taken at their second overall pick.
They
would
have had him this year. Would have been interesting to see that play out.
He might just be a Jet. He might be in the stars.
He is due. Yeah. Or he's gonna pull a Drew Aller and he's gonna get hurt, and that's gonna come back to haunt him. But almost better than playing for the Jets. I digress. I'm here to bet on the talent at the 109, essentially.
Yeah, I like Omar Cooper there. That's exactly how I would do it. I would actually take this guy above Omar Cooper personally.
This was my debate,
but
I was close.
But Omar Cooper is a good bet. I mean, he's a first-round talent wide receiver. You got to take that into consideration. And I think the Jets are set up structurally to be very good next year, but they're the Jets, so they're going to do something to mess it up. But here's who I would take at the 109. Parker had a debate. I'm going to take the last fantasy-relevant player who was drafted in the first round. I'm going to take Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson is an interesting player because I see the argument for Cooper above him. I think they're really, really close for me in my rankings. It's just Simpson, you're probably not going to get for 2 years minus an injury to Stafford. But you love that he's on the Rams. You love that he went 13th overall. You love that he's with Sean McVay, like all those Puka. He's tied to these players and coaches, and just the organization in general is just great. So you love that, but the problem is like taking a guy at like 9 where I would have taken him, where I'm taking him at 10. The problem is he's probably going to sit for 2 years, and you're going to get 0 fantasy value for 2 full years, even though his value seems safe, where once he is the starter for the Rams, his value is going to skyrocket and be very good.
He's not going to return any in those 2 years.
The problem is for those 2 years, you're just sitting on your hands, which just hurts.
He's like fantasy. A 401k. And there's nothing wrong with 401k. Put money into a 401k, guys.
Yeah, but the problem is in fantasy we're not playing for retirement. We're not playing for retirement. We're playing for the big hit. We're basically spinning the roulette. And we're trying to win big right away.
Well, yeah, not always.
I mean, not always.
We're talking dynasty here, not always.
Yeah, but even in a 2 to 3 year window, which that's how I'm trying to play. Simpson, he kind of fits the window, kind of doesn't. So it's close. So he's he's honestly a polarizing pick to me. But he's fun. I think if you're a tanking team, like you are bad and trade up for like the 110, 109 and get him, and you want to tank for a year, like, okay, well then it's perfect for you.
There you go.
But if you're at the 110 and your team's good,
Well, if your team's good and you don't need them.
Right. Because, I mean? Well, I think there's a tier drop off of the next guy.
The guys, everybody after this, you're going to probably be waiting on or maybe not ever get production of anyway. So I don't even mind taking a shot if you're a contender. The only reason this pick is bad is if you're a quarterback away from contending.
Like the Rams are in real life.
Right.
Not a quarterback away, but a piece away.
Right. So moving on from Simpson, my pick at the 11. This one was a little tough, but I think he's kind of a clear pick here for me. I'm going Eli Stowers. I'm drafting here on the talent. You know, we got second round draft capital. Obviously, his combine was unbelievable. And I like this landing spot. We have Dallas Goedert on a 1-year deal, which makes it tough for Stowers to compete this year. And that's why he's more of the 11 for me, because you're not going to see him much this year. But you might, right? Preston talks about 12 and 13 personnel all the time.
And talent supersedes, right? So if he's more talented, he's going to get on the field.
He's going to get on the field. But I do think Dallas Goedert is actually not underrated, but he does well. He fits well into that offense. So if they can design up stuff for Stowers, he might give you some value this year. I just think looking at him for next year, I really like the projectability here. Again, we talk about tight ends being safer. If I'm taking somebody at the 11, I like the safety of him. And I think he's going to withhold his value for this year for sure. And then by the time next year comes around and let's say Goddard's not there anymore, he may not play another snap and his fantasy value is going to rise because now he's the tight end 1. So I'm like, in my mind, if he doesn't get hurt and he doesn't do something drastically bad, I feel like his value can almost increase from now until then.
Yeah. And honestly, me and Parker are thinking really in sync because this is almost like a perfect mock for me. Like this is exactly how I would do it, and Parker's just taking the other guy.
I messed it up with Omar Cooper. Sorry, guys.
But that's like a
It's a
splitting
coin
hairs
flip.
one. Yeah, like not a big deal. This is like another coin flip one that I didn't know where you were gonna go. I personally would go Star Wars at 11 too, but I think Denzel Boston is in contention for this pick. Denzel Boston goes at the 207, seventh overall pick in the second round to the Browns. They drafted KC, but Boston fills a role on the outside that they desperately need, where KC is going to be competing with touches with Fannin. But Boston, I liked him a lot coming in. I thought he was worthy of a first round pick. Early second is fine. I think he fell in his range where he should fall. It sucks he went to the Browns, just like all these guys we're talking about, but he has a real chance to do something. Just like the difference between KC at 7 and Boston at 12 is like not even that crazy to me.
It's not. I think it's good value there at 12.
Yeah, it's not like after pick 6, like 7 through 10 is like a tier for me, and then 11 and 12 are a tier, but it's not that big of a gap for me per se. But I would still be taking KC at 7. That's what I would do, and Boston at 12. But it feels like this draft is just so weak, and the difference, like you're splitting hairs, you're drinking the copium, right? Like you want to, oh, I like KC more because of this. Oh, I like Boston more because of this. It's like it's just because it's the pick you got or pick you don't got, right?
Pretty much.
It's
yeah.
like you're splitting hairs, but I think Boston does have a chance in a terrible Browns offense to do something.
Yeah, and he and KC find themselves in the same situation on the same team.
Right.
KC got the better draft capital, but if you liked Boston better than KC pre-draft by enough, like there's no reason to not like him more than KC. Now, I don't think you should be drafting Boston over KC. Like,
yeah, I would still be taking KC even under pre-draft.
And don't hear what I'm not saying. Like, I wouldn't be taking Boston over KC, but if you like Boston better and you want to like a rookie startup draft, and you could take KC, and I don't know what round he's going, the 8th, but you could take Boston in the 10th or 11th, and you're going to wait back to get back to Boston. Like, I don't think Boston has that much less of a shot to become the one than KC. It's just clearly they picked KC over Boston, so they're going to invest more in
I'd bet on KC, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, exactly. But we've seen crazier things. Boston could become a better talent, and then they drafted him 207, so clearly they think highly enough of him as is. So I like the shot there. I do think he has a chance to emerge as the wide receiver too. And to get KC at 7 and Boston at 12, I think that's pretty good value. Obviously, the back end of this first round kind of got tough with landing spots and with draft capital, and mostly landing spots. We kind of did get the draft capital we were hoping for, just the wrong teams. And then once you get into the second round, the draft capital got rough. So past like pick 6, things get pretty tight. But yeah, I really like the way this played out.
Yeah, just to recap it, we have Jeremiah Love at 1, Carnell Tate at the 102, Jordan Tyson at 3, Makai Lemon at 4, Jadarian Price at 5, Mendoza at 6, KC at 7, Kenyon Sadiq at 8, Omar Cooper at 9, Ty Simpson at 10, Eli Stowers at 11, and to round it off, we have Denzel Boston at 12.
I did have something I wanted to bring up and discuss with you, Preston.
Okay.
I did look up the Fantasy Pro rankings of the rookie wide receiver or rookie like players this year, and in their super draft rankings, they do have Fernando Mendoza as the 2nd overall pick. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's a mistake. I think a lot of people are doing that. I see that when I watch videos and just from the community and Discords and stuff like that, that Mendoza goes at the 102. I think that's a mistake. I think you're not getting immediate production from Mendoza. I think Mendoza profiles as a good NFL quarterback, but does not have the rushing upside that you want for fantasy. I think he could really just turn into honestly like a Jordan Love or a Brock Purdy or a guy like that, where they're good fantasy options, but they're quarterback 2s, right? Like ideally, they're like elite quarterback 2s, and I think that's what Mendoza is. I would way rather have a wide receiver like Tate, Tyson, and Lemon, who all could be top 15 wide receivers. They all have that ceiling on them. And Jadarian Price as a first-round running back, I mean, he has the opportunity to be a top 15 running back. So I'd rather have that than the safe quarterback 2.
Yeah, I mean, I would fully agree here. I think I had kind of more of a realization this year with Superflex in Dynasty, especially that you can kind of do without those top end quarterbacks And I think that sometimes they can be overvalued. Where a guy like and don't hear what I'm not saying again. Like Josh Allen is by far the most valuable superflex player in my mind, but maybe not even by far, but he is, right, and he has that argument. But once you kind of get off that like elite step, there's not that much of a difference. And I think this year there was a little bit more of a quarterback down year, but the difference between a guy like Jordan Love this year and like I don't know Dak Prescott, like, or then you go from I don't even know, even like Drake May to Jalen Hurts. Like, how many more games did Drake May win you this year than Jalen Hurts? And think about how far different, like in a startup, they're getting drafted. It's like 2 whole rounds. I would rather have Jalen Hurts in the 3rd round than Drake May 102. Like, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm a Drake May hater, but whatever. But I think like running back or quarterbacks are slightly more overinflated right now in Superflex than maybe they should be. Like, I do think that Cardinal Tate, Jordan Tyson, Makai Lemon, Jadarian Price are just better picks. I just like getting the receiver running back there over the quarterback. And again, like Preston said, like Fernando Mendoza, he doesn't project to be that high-end quarterback that we're seeing in the NFL or in fantasy, where you have the rushing upside and that sort of thing.
I think those top-end quarterbacks still have the value. Like, I still think Drake May has the value. I think
and he does,
I think Lamar,
right?
I think Jane Daniels, I think Caleb Williams, even like Jackson Dart, all guys who could be fantasy different. When you're capable of being a fantasy difference maker, it's more important to me than like, okay, you're a solid quarterback, I'm plugging you in. But the difference between you and Sam Darnold the gap is not there.
That's not that big. I guess that's maybe more of what's relevant to Fernando Mendoza, because he kind of projects to be that quarterback too. And the difference in quarterback twos maybe isn't enough. Like Cardinal Tate could become, a top 15 wide receiver pretty easily. And the difference between that and, you know what I mean? It just feels like that's going to be more of an impact to your team than Mendoza. Right?
Yeah. Pretty much the only quarterbacks that are going really high that don't run the ball are Joe Burrow, who's thrown the most touchdowns when he's healthy of everyone by like a lot. He laps the field. And Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes ran last year, but it's because they didn't have a running game. He hadn't been running like that.
And he hasn't been that great in fantasy.
And he's been a bad pick in fantasy for the last like 3 years.
He was throwing,
but he's Patrick Mahomes. He's the best quarterback in the NFL.
But he was throwing 50 touchdowns a season to Tyreek Hill when he was a stud.
Right.
And then he lost Tyreek Hill and was still the best quarterback in the league. But he wasn't putting up amazing fantasy numbers because he didn't run the ball as much. And then he started running the ball again, and he was more fantasy relevant. It's like for quarterbacks that in quarterbacks back in the day, your Aaron Rodgers, your Tom Brady's, your Peyton Manning's, like in fantasy football, they were going in the first round. And they didn't run the ball at all because that was the landscape of fantasy. It's just not like that anymore.
And then we got smarter, right? We got smarter. We're like, hey, those guys aren't.
Quarterbacks started running more. That just wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks aired the ball out. Like that's just they threw for that's just what they did. Like the NFL is changing. It's going towards mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah. So I just think Mendoza. Now he could prove me wrong. He could become Joe Burrow, right? Like he could be that guy. But for me, he's more of a fantasy consistent guy than like a difference maker.
At the 102, I'm not taking a shot on him being Burrow.
Right, same. I would rather take a shot on Tate being Drake London or like whatever,
exactly.
Whatever profile you want, or Makai Lemon becoming his comp in Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yeah. So I'd rather be doing that. We also have some draft risers and fallers for you guys that we just wanted a quick talk about. We're going to start off with the risers. First name up, Cam Scadaboo. Rises on the fact that you saw in Dynasty almost a 2-round dip in startups from him, all because of the fear that Jeremiah Love would go at 5. We didn't even get that question because he wasn't on the board at 5. He went at 3, thank goodness. I wonder what the Giants would have done, honestly, now knowing that Love went at 3. Like, I wonder if they would have done it, and then Scadaboo would just be at Tyler Algier, which RIP Algier, man. I mean, when it happens twice, it's just so brutal. Yeah. Bijan to Jeremiah Love. But Scadaboo rises just because Jeremiah Love didn't go there. Coming off an injury, they added another lineman in Maui Noah at 10. So honestly, Scadaboo is just on the uptick here.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more worried about Scat because they consider Jeremiah Love and that for future seasons they may be looking to replace him. But he has a whole nother year now to prove why he belongs there. And he looked awesome last year. So
I think this year is a big year for Scat. If he proves it and establishes himself, he'll feel way safer to me. He also plays kind of like a maniac. I mean, you guys see it on the field. which is another scary thing. He could be out with an injury at any time because he's going to run into a telephone pole.
Right.
So it's like,
Yes,
it's tough.
yes.
But
we
when
love
he's
him for
healthy,
that.
yeah, he's super fun. He's like one of the most fun players to watch. But when he's healthy and he's doing his thing, he is an absolute beast.
Next guy we're going to talk about, Baishal Tootin. We made it through the draft, and the Jaguars did not grab a running back.
That's insane.
Which is nuts. But I guess I get it because the running backs, they weren't as strong this year. And
Yeah.
if they're going to spend the capital on other positions, like, were there guys in the draft that were really that much better than Tootin, like, to spend draft capital on it?
No.
You know, they had other positions to fill. So
they didn't have a first round pick.
Yeah. Well, right.
So they weren't getting Price or Love, and then for sure not worth it. Yeah.
And he's competing against Chris Rodriguez, right? That's where Chris Rodriguez ended
up.
Like, Chris Rodriguez could be more of a goal line guy. That's kind of what he was with the Commanders last year. So maybe a little worried about goal line touches. But I think about how many receiving touchdowns Travis Etienne had last year, and that's going to be all by Shaltoon in my mind. That's not going to be Chris Rodriguez. So if that stays the same under Liam Cohen, if he runs similar schemes with Baishal Tootin, that's going to be all him in my mind. So, and the fact that they didn't draft another running back, it just projects for him to be the running back one on the Jaguars.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Rodriguez, who they're not really paying a ton, and Chris Rodriguez doesn't scare me. They got rid of ETN, so he won like the free agency, and now he wins the draft because they don't bring in anyone. He's also just like scat a winner because he has no competition on the team. And he's in a Liam Cohen offense, which I really, really like. So if he proves himself, Tootin could be a dynasty like mainstay for a long time. But we'll see. The other winner I had is just the Raiders wide receivers. They get Mendoza, and then they just don't draft a wide receiver till like the 6th round. So free agent signing Jalen Naylor on the uptick, Trey Tucker, 2nd round pick Jack Besh, all guys who just like are winners in the fact that there's no competition. They didn't address it, but they addressed quarterback with Mendoza at the 101. And they're bringing Kirk Cousins, which I like more than Geno. So, and they brought in a whole bunch of O-linemen. So the O-line is more about the O-line is safer for Mendoza and Kirk Cousins. So I just like it in general for the Raiders wide receivers. They did nothing last year. Hopefully like a Jack Besh or a Jalen Naylor can take a step.
Yeah, I've been liking taking shots at some Raiders in the last few years. I was a big Jacoby Myers guy. He actually did well for me 2 years ago, and then all right for me last year, but when he moved to the Jaguars. So it kind of feels like it's a decent time to take a shot on a Raiders wide receiver. And you're going to get like great value out of them. Where you're drafting them, if they turn into nothing, you're not really going to be that bummed, right? Like if they're, like, it's almost impossible for them to like really cook you. Like unless you reach 5 rounds on a guy like Jack Besh, but I think they're great value, and they have, one of them feels like it's going to return great value. So, take a shot
in
draft,
the last pick.
Why not? Maybe take a shot on 2 or whatever, 2 of them. If high likelihood.
I would shoot on Naylor and Besh personally, just because Besh is young at 2nd round, and Naylor they just paid pretty good money to come in.
They did, yeah.
Trey Tucker, I think you already know what he is.
He feels like he's like that stereotypical speedster that feels like they're gonna play well, but then they're just
he feels like
way budget.
You really know what he is. He's like a deep burner. Yeah, I'd rather have the other 2 to take shots on.
Exactly. And then the last winner, kind of a fun one here, Josh Downs. Now, this seems kind of strange, but Pittman leaving in the offseason, and then they didn't bring in another receiver at all. So projects pretty easily be to wide receiver 2. Now, obviously, they still have Tyler Warren. So for him to be, like, as a Tyler Warren owner, I'm hoping Josh Downs doesn't pass him, and I don't think he will. But, maybe Josh Downs will pass Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce was not a huge target share guy. I don't think he had like 70 receptions last year, but he went over 1,000. Like, he's a deep ball guy. Mm-hmm. So I think
the problem is he got paid to be in everything.
He did. So, but things are going to have to change in that offense for him to like kind of fulfill his money, in my opinion.
Right.
Like target wise.
Yeah.
So there's room for Josh Downs here. I think if they would have brought in a guy, like you're just cooked. I was kind of high on Josh Downs last year. I thought he had the potential to be the wide receiver 1 on this team, and he ended as the 3. Now he's projecting to be the 2, and then who knows what happens from there. But
yeah, I mean, he's the primary possession wide receiver on the team. There is upside. Josh Downs hasn't finished very highly ever in fantasy, but could be his year. If it's not this year, it's never going to happen. So
you're exactly right there.
But he has this year to do it, and he's going to play against his brother
a little.
Yeah,
like,
he rose
technically.
Because he has an avenue to become fantasy relevant. So he is a winner for sure. The fallers, on the other hand, I mean, I think this is an obvious one. Biggest faller, Zach Charbonnet. I think people were pretty high, especially in dynasty communities before the draft, were pretty high on Sharps because Walker went out. They already love using Sharps. I mean, especially around the goal line. So even if they brought in a rookie running back and it wasn't like a first round pick, it's kind of like I think we're
He's
pretty
gonna come
confident
back
with
and take his
Sharps.
spot. Yep.
Yeah. But because Jaron Price goes round 1, now it feels like Sharps is just at best back in the spot he's in. Could be worse because he's coming off an ACL and it's a new coaching system who might not run a 2 backfield personnel. Like it just feels like Sharps just got hit while he's down.
I'm not happy that Sharps got hurt, but the Sharps downfall feels good. As a Kenneth Walker owner from last year who suffered. Now, I wish the Sharps downfall came by trade to some other team and not injury. I feel bad for the guy. I hope he makes a full recovery and he can go do good on a different team. But my goodness, was he annoying last year as a Kenneth Walker owner. And, but you got to, like, he got 2 yards when he had to. That's all he could get physically, maybe 3. I think his longest on the year was 4. I'm being a little bit over-exaggerated, but it's tough to see if you don't play the first 10, 11 weeks of the season and your team brings in a first-round running back, it's tough. So, I mean, you can pick him up late, and I'm sure they'll still use him, right? Like, they really believed in him, and he probably get some goal line work. It's just you're not going to get a lot of use out of him this year with only playing 7 weeks at the most. The next group of people we're going to talk about is all the Cardinals running backs.
There's one main one, though. I mean, we
Algier.
almost need a moment of silence because...
Should we?
Man. All right.
Hopefully Tyler Algier is listening and he appreciated that. I guarantee you Tyler Algier will never hear that, but if he
does,
somebody let him know. Moment of silence over here on the
I feel
podcast.
so bad for the man. We literally made the term getting Algiered because what happened to him, he rushes for 1,000 yards as a rookie, shows promise, 5th-round running back, making something when people thought he wasn't going to be anything. And then the team has the opportunity to draft Bijan, generational prospect. So they do it, and he has to play the second fiddle. And he's a good player. He's doing it as a second fiddle. He was
an
good.
Awesome Arthur Smith RB2.
Yeah. And even when Arthur Smith left, they still used him. He was like, they loved him over there. And then he leaves, joins the Cardinals. Looks like he's going to be the guy. And he gets Tyler Algiered again. Algiered gets Algiered. But it's just brutal. They draft Jeremiah Love, so he goes back into the abyss of not being fantasy or NFL really relevant without an injury. I mean, we put the other running backs because James Conner and Trey Benson would have had definitely opportunity to shine with just Algier there, but with Jeremiah Love, it's over. It's over for those two. Yeah. Algier, he's probably just going to be what Algier was with Bijan, and like, hey, they're like the best handcuff running back you can have.
Sure. But, and the last guy we got to talk about, Packer legend, Liberty legend.
Shout out Liberty.
Shout out Liberty. I didn't go, Preston did. But Malik Willis. It's kind of tough. I want to see him succeed so bad, but it feels like the team is offensively and overall giving up on him to try to get a high draft pick next year. I mean, it's sad, but they didn't bring in any pass catchers worth noting. I mean, Chris Bell is good for Chris Bell, but not really for Malik Willis, if that makes sense. Like, I like Chris Bell and what he could do for himself, but he's not the kind of player that's going to uplift Malik Willis. It's literally Malik Willis running, Devon Achane running, Malik Willis throwing to Devon Achane. And that's about it.
Like, if you were going to make a bet on who was going to lead that team in targets, not named Devon Achane, you have to pick a receiver. Who would you bet on? Like I might pick Malik Washington. That's great. That's the crazy thing. Like, he's going to be the possession slot guy.
Yep.
It's brutal.
I'm gonna bet on my boy Chris Bell. I'm not. I would probably also pick Malik Washington.
Like, it's just so bad.
I would rather just light $5 on fire than have to put $5 on somebody because I just don't want to worry about it. Just get me out of there.
Right. So I just feel bad for Malik. They do take Caden Proctor at 12 or whatever. Yeah, 12. But that felt like a little reach to me. He wasn't my favorite tackle. He was a first round guy for me, so it's not like a crazy reach. Like, if he's their guy, he's their guy. They know more than me. But man, I guess he gets an lineman, but that just I don't know. I was shocked they didn't try to move up for Boston or try to go get KC with their second first round pick or something like that. I don't know, but not adding wide receivers till the 3rd round just seemed, and no one's coming there. Hopefully Juwan Jennings goes there for Malik's sake, but it's looking rough for Malik right now.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's the end of our rookie mock and our risers and fallers. We really appreciate you listening this week. Hope you're enjoying the content. Obviously very rookie forward right now, but that's the hotness, right? and a lot of unknown, and a lot of things are changing. So that's what we want to talk about. And again, a lot of dynasty as well. So once we kind of get into the offseason more and start getting towards the start of the season, you'll hear some more redraft. Preston and I actually have some drafts coming up. So we're excited to talk to you guys about that and maybe some of the decisions we've made, some of the decisions we've seen our league mates make. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be really fun. Really appreciate it, guys.